He might be the greatest power forward in the history of the NHL, Eric Lindros. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up. Our guest today was born in London, Ontario, grew up in Toronto. He played his junior hockey with the Generals in Oshawa. He was the OHL and CHL Player of the Year. He won 2 World Junior Championships. He led the Generals to the 1990 Memorial Cup title. He played 16 NHL seasons with Philadelphia, New York, Toronto, and Dallas. In 1995, he won the Hart Trophy and Lester B. Pearson Award. He was an Olympic gold medalist in 2002, had his Flyers jersey retired, and he is a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the Big E, Eric Lindros.
That's quite an intro, Joe. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to give you the proper introduction. You know what I mean?
You certainly didn't skimp.
Yeah, well, I go back to my ring announcing days when you want to really build up your, your subject here. It's good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, good.
So was being a hockey player always the goal for you? Was that always the goal when you grew up?
I just love playing. I could spend hours in the backyard. I could spend hours in the driveway shooting. I just love doing it. I just felt good doing it. It was kind of my place. And I was lucky enough to be surrounded by a lot of people to help out, and played with some great teammates and had some really good coaches. I got lucky. Got really lucky. It's not the easiest path, and it's Jesus. Just so many people to thank, but certainly it starts at home with your family and the sacrifices your parents make. And there's so many there's so many coaches that when I look back, that volunteered their time and helped us along. It's really quite fascinating how it worked.
Well, your humility is leaking through strong here. It's clearly you were an elite athlete. You had elite skills. Was there a point in your where were you in your life when you realized that, you know what, I think I can do this for a living?
I was 16. I remember being in Oshawa. It was my first year in Oshawa, and no, my second year in Oshawa. Probably 16. Like it was 16, 17, in around there. And I thought, you know what, I think I can put this together. and yeah, that was it. I think I was about 16 or 17 when I thought that there was light at the end of the tunnel, and we could there's something there.
Right. Well, I remember Oshawa as a preferred destination for you, and what made you want to settle in with the Generals? What was it
Well,
about
I
that
think a
team
lot of it had to do with
that
where I was. So I was drafted by Sault Ste. Marie, and I wasn't mature enough to go that far away from home. There was also the school element, which I'm not sure what it's like right now, but back in the day, school was not a huge priority in a lot of the teams. And you got to be lucky to get through unscathed and to be able to play. So having your schooling and having a backup plan is vital. So I wanted to go to a city that was really close to a university or had a university in it. And the list, and obviously you need a willing party to offer you a spot or offer a trade or put something up to make it worthwhile for Sault Ste. Marie to change their perspective. And it ended up working out with Oshawa, and I got to go to school at York University.
And Oshawa is a pretty good location. I mean, that's where I lived at the time, and it seemed to work for you. First game with the Generals. Pretty sure I was there. Do you remember that night?
I don't. No, I don't remember it. Is that footage there, Oshawa or Ottawa?
Yeah,
We played
yeah.
Ottawa.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
yeah. So there you are,
I
using the
just
body.
remember. Yeah, I just love playing in that old rink. Right. It didn't seat the Civic. Sat what,
The Civic, yeah.
2,800
Right, right.
people, and they would allow way more than that in there. And it was jammed. It was loud. It was fun. It was a great place to play in front of. Great people
Yeah,
there.
I
Yeah.
remember. I remember sitting with Sherry Bass in the in the old media lounge there after the Generals games and talking about your career there. It was a lot of fun. They're really happy to have you there, no doubt about that. 180 goals, 200 assists, and 157 games with the Generals. So like that's 2.5 points a game. But tell us about that Memorial Cup run and how special was that in 1990, beating Kitchener in double overtime to capture the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, we played Kitchener a lot, so we met them in the finals of the OHL, and we both knew, both teams were going to the Memorial Cup no matter what. One was go as the representative of the OHL, the other one was going as the host city, and so we played Kitchener quite a bit. We went 7 games in the finals, and then we went, we had the round robin game against them at the Memorial Cup, and then saw them again in the final. So we knew each other quite well, but I think looking back, it was depth that allowed us to be successful. It wasn't, one line or a couple of players. It was, you're the sum of all your parts. And we had everything, like just everything from the winning goal, Billy Armstrong scoring, a bit of a fluky one to Kevin Butt having to leave the game and Freddie Brathwaite coming in and backstopping our team when Freddie hadn't seen rubber and except for practice and in weeks, like he hadn't been our player, our starter. And then Kevin got hurt and Freddie stood on his head, calm and cool. And it was just line after line. We had 3-4 really good lines and quality defensemen, and it worked out. We just we were opportunistic.
Yeah, yeah. I remember Robbie Pearson, the Green brothers, and like a lot of things were, and things have to go right when that happens. But you talk about the 7 game series with Kitchener, the double overtime. I mean, bounce here, bounce there. Things could have gone differently, but they went how they
Sure they
went.
could have.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, it was no. Robbie came the year after, so Gerald Scaldi was
Oh,
traded
okay,
for Rob.
okay,
But the Green brothers were there. Ian Fraser was our captain. He was an awesome
right.
captain. Um, there was piles. Craig Donalds. There was a pile of guys that were really good second, third year players. Scott Lewick we picked up from Miami of Ohio. We were loaded with depth.
So the World Juniors, back-to-back championships. And in 1991 was the year that it was the second of the back-to-back gold medal wins. This time on home ice, Canadian soil, Saskatoon,
Right.
3-2 win over the Soviets. Tell me about this moment, what that was like for you. First
Oh,
big
it's exciting. I
international.
mean, yeah, it's one thing to win it. It's another thing to win it at home. And it is it's the biggest thrill going to win a national championship, like to bring something and to do it on home soil. It's a real special feeling. So no, it was terrific. Not to say that one was better than the other. It was, but to do it in front of those people and your family and we had a good team, it was a solid team. Everyone had a part, everyone had a role to play. And it was, again, it was, I'll probably go back to this, but it was again this, depth and everyone doing their job and getting good goaltending, and we had excellent coaching, and it all worked out.
So this is draft year, and did you know that you could have been a Leafs draft pick? Leafs GM, former Leafs GM Jerry McNamara, we had him on the show, and he had a plan to draft you to Toronto. Let's roll that video, Vic.
We had a first round draft choice coming up, and Lindros was going to be the first choice, and I was going to try to manipulate things so that our team would end up last.
Yeah.
Sorry for the purists, I'm sorry, but it was so important to get a guy like Lindros, and I got fired. And it didn't happen. And he ended up trading the first round draft choice for Tom Perkins.
Right. And I remember that. And being that, when they made that deal, I said at the time, this is the worst trade ever, 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 ever. And so, they were positioned. So things could have been different. I'm guessing that you would have been okay with that if McNamara had kept his job and eventually drafted you.
Everything, yeah. It's funny how things play out, right? A little twist here, a little,
Yeah.
quarter turn there, and things change. Things change dramatically. Yeah, I Toronto. Well, you're just it's so much. If you're into hockey, it's Toronto is just fed to you everywhere you turn, right? Everywhere you look, there's a Leaf logo somewhere. So growing up in this area, yeah, it was all about the Leafs. And who doesn't want to play for their home base? Their the team that they've grown up seeing every Saturday night. Who wouldn't want to do that? So yeah, Toronto's a good spot. I don't know why players make a big deal out of being here and the scrutiny or the attention that the guys get. I think it's fantastic. I wouldn't want to play in an environment where you can walk down the street and no one is talking about the last shift you had or the last game you played or what the team streak is on. Like playing in this environment is really special, and lots of guys covet it. I don't know why more don't, but it's really great.
Well, I know Ryan O'Reilly. He didn't like the pressure of playing in Toronto, and others. He's not the first guy. I mean, that's
Yeah, but Joe, that
some
might be
people
just
don't
what he's
like it,
saying.
right?
No, but that might be just what he's saying to get away from what he perceives as a situation. Maybe he sees something in the dressing room that he looks at it and says, "I don't see how this is going to work," and he wanted to go to a situation where he thought there was, it's his own perspective, right? And maybe he just uses that as the out to avoid being truthful.
Right.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
I got
Who
you.
knows? I
I
don't know.
got you. Yeah. Well, we no only Ryan knows for sure. Only he would know what the truth
Exactly.
is.
Exactly. But
But
geez, he's a good
yeah,
player, man. He can really play. What they get him for? 4.5.
yeah, yeah.
He's really well liked in that dressing room. He brings it. He's not the best skater in the world, but he's got so much heart. It's too bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when he was with St. Louis, look what he did. Won the Conn Smythe, won the Selke Trophy, did all that stuff, and after
Yeah,
Buffalo gave up on him, right? So, yeah, a hell of
yeah.
a player. So for you, as expected, it would have worked out nice in Toronto, but as it did, it wasn't going to work out in Quebec either. You were drafted first overall, as expected,
Well,
even
Jerry.
though
Hey,
you
listen,
made it clear you weren't going there. Yeah,
Jerry tried to do it, right? Jerry just admitted to trying
yeah,
to go last.
yeah.
Obu did it consistently for how many years? 4, 3, 4, 5,
Right,
4.
right, right,
You know,
right.
Obu was really good at coming in last.
Right. Here we go. So we had Scott Morrison and Doug McLean on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked Scotty who is responsible for what went down with you and the Nordiques, and here's what Scotty had to say. Marcel LeBeau, right,
In terms of
right,
the fiasco being the trade to two teams, it was because Obu was working apart from his general manager, who was Pierre Paget, who had everything under control and understood what was the process and what the teams were feeling. And he went out and cut a deal on the side and then turned down the deal that the general manager and the hockey staff wanted. And that was the Philly offer at the time. And he didn't know that Chicago wasn't going to give the $15 million to make the deal. And so it was really Obu who got in the way. And it was Obu was the reason why Lindros didn't want to go to Quebec in the first place. It had nothing to do with language and nothing to do with the city or culture, anything like that. He married a French girl, in fact, and bought property there.
So did that pretty much nail it there? His assessment of what happened?
Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't there. I'm hearing stuff later, but I wasn't part of it. I was sitting on the couch waiting for Bertuzzi to pass along, or he had his announcement, his arbitration decision. I sat there on the couch. I had no idea. I had two hats. I had a Ranger hat and a
Yeah,
Philly hat, a
yeah,
Flyers hat, right?
yeah.
So I didn't know, and I'm super happy to go to Philly.
Yeah, no question. I mean, so Ranger hat, Philly hat, either way, you're going to be okay. But that summer, you played for Canada in the Canada Cup. I mean, you're just 18-year-old kid at that time, but that must have been a cool experience playing with the superstars. And did that up your draft style or your ability? Did that lower Quebec's ability to trade you or up improve it?
I don't know. I didn't look at it that way. I just looked at it as a lot of fun. We had a really good team. Being around pros, I'd never been around pros per se, right? I didn't know what an optional skate was. I didn't know that I didn't know that the young guys are on the ice for an optional skate, no matter what. Optional does not apply to a young player. I just didn't understand. I didn't know any of this stuff. And the more I hung around with the likes of Steve Larmer and Dirk Graham, and there were so many guys that helped me out and pointed me in the right direction, and took me out to dinner and would tell stories and hang out. They were so nice to me. They really were. Can't thank Steve Larmer enough. He was not just a terrific player for us in the tournament, but a real mentor and someone that he gave a shit. He went that extra mile he knew I needed some help, and he went that extra mile to tag me along, and he just give you that wink of way to go, or you know what I mean? Like, he's just a real solid guy. He was great. He's great.
Yeah, Larmer's a class act, no doubt about that. He's you won't find many people say anything bad about Steve Larmer. So the
No.
Flyers end up getting your rights, and that worked out pretty well for you. And this is what they got. Remember, this is against the Penguins, and Mark Recchi throws it in front of the net, and this is your first NHL goal. Does this stick in your mind?
I can barely see it, but I think there was a little bit of confusion, and it just kind of snuck over to my side. I can't see what you're playing on your screen. I can just see the bottom,
Okay.
bottom part of the feed. But yeah, it was kind of a misplay, if I remember correctly. And lucky Johnny on the spot with a little bit of luck. I think Yags kind of bobbled it a bit, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so for opposition teams to play against Eric Lindros, this is the kind of thing that they had to go through. So this is one of the questions I asked McLean. From an opposition standpoint, what was it like to play against Eric Lindros? Here's what he had to say.
I coached against him in his prime with the Legion of Doom, with LeClaire and Renberg in the Panthers series against the Panthers and Philly. He was a beast. He was a beast to coach against and punishing. And on top of his game, we beat them in 6 games in that series. But I'm telling you, he was something else to coach against. How good he was and how talented he was. And he should have had just an amazing career, but concussions really derailed him.
Right. So he called you a 6'4", 240-pound version of Gordie Howe, which is a pretty impressive player. Who wouldn't want a guy like that? So he had some great years with the who wouldn't want that? Like, yeah, Gordie was not bad at a 6'4", 240-pound version. That's pretty good. So that same season, okay, that McLean talks about, you went to the Stanley Cup final, a short one. You won the Hart Trophy, Lester B. Pearson Award as the NHL's MVP. 29 goals, 41 assists in just 46 games, and here you are winning the MVP award. And let's have, I know the music cue is a little bit off, but let's have a listen to what you had to say at the time.
I'd also like to thank my family who supported me throughout everything, the up times, the bad times. They're there for me, and I love them, and thank you very much. My close friends, and in closing, I'd just like to say thank you to the fans of Philadelphia who have supported us when we weren't so good. We're getting better.
So that a pretty emotional moment for you, and kind of ruined by the band there a little bit. But the emotional moment for you. Tell me, what do you think about when you see or hear that young player, that young kid? What do you bring back?
Listen, with that team, yeah, we worked so hard. The first couple of years in Philly were real tough. We didn't have much of a team. We didn't have depth, but we had some good people around. Like, I got to be around Kevin Dineen, an amazing captain, a great person to be around off the ice. There's lots of guys that Dave Brown was another good one. There are lots of guys in Philly during those lean years that kept things, pointed in the right direction and spirits high. And then, really we got some depth. They went out. They there's some free agency. There was some good drafting. We got Renberg. There was a big trade. We got John Leclerc and and Eric Desjardins, Gilbert Dion, in a huge trade, and that was amazing. We got, like, Johnny was terrific to play with, a great person off the ice, and then we got a really good defenseman as well in that, and then we got Gilbert played some games for us on top of that. So that was the big trade that really pushed us into saying, that we're coming along. Now we're here. Now we've done this trade. We've got some real good parts now. Now we've got some depth. Now we're going to bring in, they brought in Joel Otto. We had guys like Trent Klatt. We had depth everywhere. We were a good squad.
Yeah, Legion of Doom. I don't think there's ever been a better name for a line than Legion of Doom. What was it like to play with Renberg and Leclerc and McLean touched on a little bit there. Were those fun times and making it to the cup final?
For sure.
And, yeah.
No, they're good times.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it was longer with Rennie. They moved him to Tampa Bay for Chris Gratton, and I wished nothing against Chris. I just, you don't want to see your buddy go. We had fun at practice, right? Like, I think the guys that click, lines that click in the league, they probably say the same thing about, when you go to practice and you're having fun at practice and you're not just you're doing the drills, but you're all right. You got to do 3 3-on-1s. Let's make sure we score on 2 of the 3. Let's challenge ourselves. And I think that's what elevates players and gets lines really clicking is the intensity of a practice and how the guys treat each other off the ice and look out for each other. It means a lot. Some people think that you just put in pieces on a team. It doesn't really work that way. The really good teams, they look out for each other. I look at Detroit, like Larkin gets hit. Who was it that just jumped in and grabbed a guy? I don't even think it was the right guy. Who was that? That
was recently. Yeah. But I can't remember who that was, but it was yeah.
Sure, he gets a 3-game suspension. Big deal. But he's stood up for his team, and I'm not advocating that you should fight. I'm just saying his teammates look upon him and look at him and say, "Oh my God, there's a vet. Like, that is the guy you want. He will do whatever we need him. Like, he'll look out for our team." That's what builds a team. That kind of little stuff builds a lot of character within a team. It's a bunch of moments like that, and having guys get along off the ice. All those things add up. But that's the most recent one that I can remember. And Detroit's a pretty tight team. They're getting a lot better.
Yeah, they are. They're a team on the move, no doubt about that. I know we had Darren McCarty on the show. Speaking of Detroit moments, and that when Chris Draper, got his jaw broken by Claude Lemieux, and McCarty was on the show, and he talked about how important he had to get retribution. I mean, nobody said anything, nobody did anything, but when the opportunity arose, McCarty basically got his revenge on because Draper was his good buddy, and McCarty got his revenge on Lemieux, and that was sort of one of the turning points for that team. And it was that year that they knocked the Avalanche out in the playoffs, and they end up going to the final. And the following year they won the cup. But that for them it was kind of like the TSN turning point, if you will. But sticking together,
sure.
Chemistry is such a big part of that, right? Chemistry is such a
absolutely
big part of all of
that. yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's some politicians out there, that's for sure.
Yeah. So now McLean touched on it, your career being derailed by concussions, that's no secret. And of course, the big hit that we all remember was in the 1999-2000 season, Scott Stevens of the Devils, a hit that would not be legal today, thank goodness, but at the time it was. And what were the effects of that hit for you?
Yeah, I wasn't good for a long time. I saw Johnny to my right, and I I guessed, and I thought I could just chip that puck through. If I chip that puck through, Johnny's got a breakaway.
Yeah.
My risk reward ratio was not working very well that day. But no, it took a while, and I never the same. You're just not.
Right.
You're just not the same,
Yeah.
and it gets. You think you are. You think you can go back. You think you're just. No, things change.
Well, I mean, you did get your licks in on Stevens. I mean, you guys had a few run-ins. We have a video from a scrap between you two. I think it was '93, where you fed him pretty good. Pleased with the result of this, I'm sure. But now, did Stevens ever apologize to you for that hit? Did he ever kind of show some remorse for that?
There was. I see Scott every once in a while at a Hall of Fame thing. That's about the only time I think I saw him about 4 or 5 years ago. And you know what? It's so far gone. I think we spent most of our time talking about fishing, and
Yeah.
and I think he's got a place up on a lake in Ontario here. Just I think it's just a little bit north of Barrie. So, but I haven't seen Scott in a long time.
Well, when you traded to the Rangers, and at one time we found out, by the way, McLean and Morrison in the book talked about 14 teams were looking for trying to land your services, and some pretty good pitches for you back in the day when the Nordiques made that trade. Eventually, you did make your way to the Rangers, who were trying to get you hard. You made your way to Manhattan, and Mark Messier, one of your idols, helped you put your jersey on. Tell us about your time with the Rangers.
Yeah, I wasn't the same. And I found it a frustrating time. There were some good players there. I think Glenn Sather tried his best to put a real good team together. And it just wasn't for whatever reason. I was disappointed in how I played, how I performed. Not, I just expected more of myself, and we didn't do well for 3 years. We were okay, but we weren't a dominant team by any stretch.
Yeah, we talked about chemistry and how that's important, and then you finally got a chance to play for the Blue and White, your hometown Leafs. Got off to a great start in 2005, 2006. At this juncture in the season, you were tied for the league lead with 6 goals. Of course, it was early in the season. What was it like, though, to finally put on that blue and white jersey for you?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, you're not the player that you once were, but you can still chip away and help out a little bit here and there. And I was getting lots of ice. Matt Sundin got hurt in the first game, the 13-minute mark of the first period, I think. And from that moment on, once when he was out, my ice time went up dramatically, and my opportunities to score went up dramatically. So the first 10 games were. Yeah, there's tons and tons of ice. First 12 games, and then obviously you want to have Matt's back as quickly as possible, and he came back, and then back to a different situation. But it was I think I got 26 games in before my retinacular fell apart on me against Dallas, and I should have had surgery right away. Tried to rehab it. Had I had surgery, I think I would have been back before playoffs and helped to push at the end. But the call was to rehab it, and it was not. I should have just got it fixed.
So what? Who made the call on that? On you not getting surgery? Is that the team, or is that?
Well, you try the rehab side. They think it's the best method, and then it just wasn't working. And they proposed the surgery, so I went that route. But it was too late. I wish it was done right away.
Yeah, for that season, probably your career too. I mean, you wrapped up the career in Dallas. Decided to hang up the blades. Obviously, concussions had a lot to do with that.
It was time too, though, Joe. Like, it was when you're sitting there at practice and you're looking at the clock and you're, how much longer is this? It's time to move on. Let someone play that really, really, truly wants to be there. And Yeah, it's time to move on. It wasn't, hockey wasn't that much fun anymore.
Well,
Supposed to be fun, right?
yeah, exactly. And you talked about how much fun it was in Philly, and all the the games you were playing in practice and everything else, and the
Yeah.
chemistry going on, and it was a lot of good things were happening for you. So after your career, you and your brother Brett teamed up to carry the message about concussions. Tell us about that journey.
Well, there wasn't a lot of notoriety about concussion. There wasn't a lot of. It was kind of the C word, right?
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot being said. There wasn't a lot of advancement. There wasn't. There weren't steps in place when these situations happen. People just we had to change the mindset and accept that they're going to happen. And here's what we need to do to make sure that someone can come back and be as close to normal as possible, as quickly as possible. And these are the steps to do it. I mean, it's inevitable concussions are going to happen in hockey and in sport in general, life in general, playgrounds, anywhere else. They're going to happen. It's how we deal with them and how quickly we deal with them and how we identify them. So things got a lot better in Ontario here. Unfortunately, we lost Rowan Stringer, but
Mm-hmm.
Rowan's law has been a big push here in Ontario. I wish it was national. I don't know why I don't know why this country, we need to have, every province has to have a different way to deal with concussion. I didn't realize that a concussion in Ontario is different than a concussion in Manitoba. It just doesn't make sense to me. It'd make it so much easier to get that voice across. I think it would be cost effective. I just think if you blanket it, it'd be a lot better for everybody involved. However, we're still fighting on that, pushing for it. But it's gotten better. Is it perfect? No. I mean, there's talk of research here and talk of research there. I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole lot of collaboration, to be honest with you. I see a lot of silos going about their work and getting their grants and keeping everything tight-lipped. But, you look at COVID and you look at how quickly things needed to change and how quickly people needed to work together to come up with a solution. So, COVID was horrible. Yes, absolutely horrible. But what it did show is that we're capable of working together. We're capable of finding a solution as fast as possible. It doesn't need to be 18 years for things to go through testing and various levels of what goes into this regular situation that we call research. We're capable of doing it quicker. So I don't know why we're not.
Well, you talk about Rowan's law, right? Hit, stop, sit, very simple. And
Yeah.
to me, it's a no-brainer. What the hell can be simpler than that, right?
Sure, right. And people get so short-sighted about it. And it's not just looking out for your own kid either. Let's get looking out for the other team. Let's get looking out for our kids on the other side, kids on your kids' team, the teammates. It's for everybody. Like, if you suspect something, it's what's the harm in just taking a break and let's have a talk about it. Let's slow this down and let's make sure that we're making the right call here. It's a whole lot easier to do it with a relaxed space and people looking at it from a calm perspective and making the right judgment call and not just thinking that everyone's resilient. Everyone's different. Everyone's built differently. So it really needs to come down to that player being honest and the coaches doing the right thing on behalf of the player, and putting the best interest of the player first. But the players need to be honest as well. Players have to be honest. If the players aren't honest, the whole thing sucks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody wants to sit out, but I mean, if it's not if you're not committed, I don't. When it comes to concussions, I mean, you know what you're talking about. You're committed to the improvement in that area. I know you've donated $5 million of your own money for concussion prevention. I learned, and maybe you don't want to talk about that, but I think that's tells me that it's definitely a commitment, and It's a commitment.
Well, it's important, right? It's important, and it's not just athletics. It's like I said before. It's the schoolyard. It's the playgrounds. It's all over the place. It's car accidents. It's bike accidents. It's everything. That's concussion's here. Concussion is around, and concussions happen, and let's not shy away from it. Let's just accept it and do what we need to do to quickly get these kids back to school, feeling right about themselves, and back to learning, feeling healthy, and sometimes athletics needs to be pushed to the side a little bit, and just taking a different perspective is probably a right call at certain points.
Is the game better today?
I don't know. I'd like the hybrid. I think it's gone too much the other way. I'd like to see something in between.
Mm-hmm.
But what ends up happening, Joe, is if you watch, like in the playoffs, it's always the heavy teams that win a lot of the, like,
Right.
most of the time, right? Like you look at Vegas, and oh my God, they've got, what do they got? Like, it looks like they got 4 second lines, right? Like, yeah, they got some talented guys. Stone's talented. Eichel's there. Like, they got Marchessault. Like, there's, but they just come after you wave after wave after wave after wave, and it's the big bodies. They're D. I mean, Petrangelo is just like they are a real big team, and they're pounding, they're punishing, and that ends up being what is a lot of the time successful in playoffs. You got to be healthy, but you got to outlast people, and it's a lot easier being a little bit bigger than it is being on the short side.
Well, they used to say it was
side.
goaltending, right? They used to say it was goaltending, but the Golden Knights won it with their 4-string goaltender. So maybe like it has that the fact that they were big, strong guys, and like you said, 4 really good second lines, right? That's how they got.
Yeah, listen, I don't mean to say that they're anyone's a second liner or whatever. They're just wave after wave of very balanced attack, right? So they're good, but you look, Florida's good too. Florida's got some depth. They're not slouches. There's some size there. Boston always plays big. Tampa used to play big. Those are the teams that do well.
What do you think of your Leafs chances?
My Leafs, Joe. They're not mine.
Okay, what do you think?
I don't know.
The Leafs. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that Nylander is playing really well. He's really stepped up his game. He's been fantastic. There's something missing there. There's something wrong. I don't know. There's something off. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Every year is different, but there's a new GM in town. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen here at the trade deadline, and where the push is going to come from, and what's going to happen goaltending wise, and who's going to be in the right state of mind. Yeah, there's so we're so far away. Who knows? There's so much that can happen between now and the trade deadline, right? So.
Yeah. If you were in True Living shoes, though, is there one specific move that you might say, okay, this is the one that this might put him over the top? One hole that you might fix.
I don't know. I think it's about, we talked about liking each other and wanting the best for your teammates. I going that extra mile for a teammate, remembering who might have hit them the previous game or the shot. People remember this, and that builds team. I don't know if that's there with that group. I don't know. I'm not in the room.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But something feels off. It has for a long time.
So you were voted one of the top 100 players of all time, inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2016. The late Dale Hawerchuk made that presentation. How significant was it for you when to have Dale make the presentation?
Ducky's awesome, right? Ducky's one of the nicest. He was one of the nicest guys in hockey. He really was. Such an underrated player. You look back to 87 Canada Cups, you'll think of, everything from that face off. He was he was an awesome hockey player, and I got to play with him a little bit in Philly at the end. His hip was crappy. He was getting a lot of therapy every day just to get out there. But what a talented guy! Oh my God, and so much fun off the ice too. He's just terrific. Just a terrific guy.
We wanted to play a little bit of the speech from that Hall of Fame induction because you talked about another late great player. Let's have a look.
It was great to catch up with Borje Salming, and it reminded me of the first time I had a chance to meet Borje. I was about 15 years old and invited to skate with some pros at an arena in the east end of Toronto. I was a bit scared to get on the ice with guys that I've grown up watching on TV. Borje was there, and he could see it. He knew I was nervous. He sat next to me on the bench, and since it was the start of the year, I was wearing some new gloves. He asked me if he could try them on. I passed them over. He worked them in a little bit, and he told me that they were great gloves, and I was going to have a great year with them. And just like that, I had broken the ice with an NHL star. A solid move to help an anxious teenager feel more comfortable and at ease. I've never forgotten that moment, and over the years, I've tried to pay forward Borje's gesture.
Yeah, so tell us about Borje and what you remember about him.
He's a stud, right? He's the king. He's the king. He's awesome. Just even when you see him at the Hall of Fame stuff, he's just a kind man. He was just a terrific fellow. And yeah, it's true. I mean, he was out there. We were at, I think it was some arena off Warden Avenue or something. We were out in Scarborough somewhere north of the 401. I forgot the name of the rink. Commander something maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
And he was right there, and it just made a world of difference. Just to have a guy like him spend 30 seconds chatting with you, it meant the world to me. It really did. It was a big deal.
Yeah, Commander, I think it's just off Markham Road there, McCowan Road somewhere.
That'd be up there.
Yeah. So all those great years with the Flyers didn't go unnoticed either. 5 years ago, they raised your number 88 to the rafters. Retiring your jersey, you became the sixth Flyer to be honored that way. Also received a nice Rolex watch. Your family was there. That was pretty cool. Prior to the game against the Leafs, no less, which seemed to be a healing moment all around. And here's what you had to say at that particular time.
It's no secret that when I left Philadelphia, it was under less than ideal circumstances. I believe I'm here today, hockey aside, because of two people. My wife, Keena, and Paul Holmgren. Both in their own ways have taught me to move on, put in the past any differences of opinion, any hard feelings. It was time to remember the great moments I experienced here in Philadelphia, the friendships I have built in this great city, and the respect I have for the fans of this.
How important was that moment, and how instrumental was your wife, Keena, in that happening?
Yeah, my wife's pretty slick. My wife's pretty slick. No, but Paul was, we worked on this for a while. I spoke to Paul maybe a year before that outdoor game. And it takes some time. I was not happy. I was not happy at all. But what was there to gain from maintaining my anger? So Paul was great. I've got a lot of respect for Paul. And,
we got to get
my wife.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Keena was good. I was just going to say that when it comes to resentments, we got to let those things go. Like me, look what happened to Dave Keon on the Leafs for many, many years. And so, we hold on to those old resentments. We seem to have lost Eric for a bit. Oh, there you see you back.
Yeah, sorry.
Phone
call came through.
No problem. So we hang on to those resentments, and I heard a good friend of mine once said that if I have there's a resentment, it's like I'm drinking this glass of poison, and I'm expecting you to die. Right? the resentment doesn't hurt me. It hurts. It doesn't really hurt resentment. Hurt the person I have resentment against. It only hurts me. So letting that stuff is so important. Do you feel like there's a
It's not
like a
letting it
lot of
go. It's
healing
just
was
putting
done?
it's putting it aside. It's just putting it
Right.
aside. It never goes away. Listen, you know what
Right.
happened. It never goes away. And you just put it to the side and do your best to carry on. That's what it is.
Do you have do you have a sense of connection to the Flyers organization now?
They bring me down to do some PR stuff, and I don't have anything to do with hockey ops. It's heading out and seeing the clientele and the suite holders and that kind of bit. I get down there about, I don't know, 4 times a year for 3 or 4 days at a go. Do a little skating down there every once in a while. That's kind of where it's at.
We saw Renberg and Leclerc at your Hall of Fame induction sitting together. And do you stay in touch with those guys?
Oh yeah, no, I see Johnny all the time. Actually, the guy that was Johnny that was calling me right now. I played this morning with Cody Hodgson, and he's looking for a tryout. So I called. Cody wants to come back after 7 or 8 years. He's feeling great. He looks great. I think he's set his weights down to a $189, and he's looking really good on the ice. I mean, he looks amazing next to me, but overall he looks really good. And so we're trying to figure out a way to get Cody a professional tryout. So I called Johnny to see what was going on down there.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you're still getting on the ice, and that's how
twice a week.
I mean,
yeah, twice a week we get on
Beautiful.
the ice, and my kids play, so I get to go on for practice and help out. And so yeah, no, I'm on the ice quite a bit. I had a rink all the time, and we're enjoying it. It's fun.
Right. I think
Kids
I
are
saw
getting better.
you and your daughter. Yeah, I think I saw you and your daughter on a posting in a PWHL jersey, maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That was a
Tell
good
me
game.
about the PWHL and yeah.
I think it's a good. I hope it sticks around. The hockey was good. You've got some real talented players. Like you got, Sarah Nurse is a really good player. Natalie Spooner is an excellent player. You're right. There's some really good players in that league. I had fun at the game. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was a great venue for it. It wasn't an overwhelming place. It was what's the Mattamy Center, 3,000 people, 2,800 people, and it was packed. Yeah. Right? It was full. It was an event. It was fun. It was energetic. Did the home team win? No, but geez, New York really looked good, and they turned it on, and it was just one after another. That what number was it? 25 came in off the left side and roofed the puck for New York. What a goal! I mean, I forgot. I should know her name. I can't remember her name. But it was an excellent goal. Lots of great plays. Lots of effort. I liked it. I thought it was good.
So okay, so yeah, I'm trying to look up that PWHL that goal. I had to highlight
Who is that player?
Ella Shelton, does that sound right?
No. 25, the one that went roof.
Yeah, Shelton got the first goal, I believe.
Yeah, okay, that one. But then the one that scored the second or third goal.
Okay, second or third goal, Vic, if you can flick it. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. But what an event, though. You're talking about an event. Billie Jean King and Janie Heffer dropping the puck, and this is the first time we've ever had women's hockey under one umbrella. All the greatest players playing in the same league, kind of like the NHL, and it's nice to finally see that happening. So in your another posting that I see Eric Lindros in as I'm going through social media, I see tell us about Norwood's portable sawmill.
I like to mill. I got into this. I got into this about 8 years ago, and I bought a kind of a weekend warrior mill. And last year I upgraded and got some hydraulics and got a real powerful. It can do a 36-inch diameter log now. I love it. We've got a fish camp up in Quebec, and we use a lot of wood up there. We do our docks and we do our interiors of the cabins. We have fun. You learn, right? It's a process. Buddy brings in a bunch of logs and puts them off to the side and just roll them out and get them on that mill and zip them up and store them for a year. And I enjoy it. I have a good time doing it. It's a lot of fun. It's terrific. I like being outside and I like being up north.
Any thoughts ever about getting involved in the game again in terms of a management position or something like that?
Yeah, I was really open to it, 3/4 of a year ago. I don't know. My kids are at a pretty good age right now. They're enjoying hockey. It depends on, there's nothing, you can't really dip your toe into something. You gotta be all in. And,
Right.
I think that's the only way to do a job correctly. And my mindset has changed. I don't know. I was all in last spring, but now I'm. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what comes down the line and what happens and yeah, where it leads. Who knows?
Well, I think that any team would benefit from having a guy like Eric Lindros in their camp, right? Or, I mean, there's with your experience and your and your
who knows,
commitment,
Joe?
man. I'm telling you,
Everyone, it's listen. It can be a lot of fun. It's stressful, but it can be a lot of fun. And coming up with a system and sticking to a game plan is hard to do. It's not managing and presiding is tricky, right? So there's lots of we'll see. Well, who knows what happens? The world's crazy, right, Joe?
Oh yeah. You never know what's going to come down the pike. So one last question. We like to answer this. Ask you this question.
Sure.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received. Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. John Fuda, Mike Fuda's dad, John Fuda, he was my coach with the Nats and Marlies. And he was really big on mental strength. And if you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can, it's almost certain you won't. Like he had this poem that he would read to us about having the mindset that you are going to accomplish, that nothing is going to get in your way, that you're going to have positive thoughts. And I remember this, life's battles don't always go to the stronger, faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Like that was John Fuda. And that I found that very infectious. That poem that he had us all memorize, and we believed in, and we were a good team too. we had a lot of good players on those teams. Drake Barahowski, Mike Torch. I mean, we had a list of guys. We had a good team, and we were we won a lot. So now that's the kind of stuff I remember. Thinking you can.
Right. And I think, that obviously that stuck with you because you accomplished an incredible amount in your career. I think it was Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. Right.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly,
like,
right?
So, yeah. So why not think you can, right?
I coach an under 10 team, U10 team here in Toronto. And I pulled that poem out this year already.
Awesome.
So, yeah. I called up coach and I told him I was doing it and he was giggling. So, yeah. It's good.
That's awesome. Well, you got a whole bunch of 10-year-olds who are going to accomplish some great things, I'm sure. Eric, listen, thanks for joining us on the program. It's been wonderful having you on and catching up. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Joe. Thank you very much.
All right, more sports when we come back.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca.
And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian sports. Now, the show is available also on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network, Buzz TV, and Zingo TV. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All of our past great shows are on there, clips, shorts. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. We want to thank Eric Lindros for being on the show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Ryan Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in the early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit SleepyHollowCountryClub.com. Hi there, I'm Joe Tilley. Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Next March, during the enchanting cherry blossom season, join me and my wife for an unforgettable 2-week journey to Japan and South Korea. In Japan, you'll experience the magic of the season as we visit the stunning Osaka Castle against the backdrop of cherry blossoms. Feed the adorable Sikadira Nara Park, glide through picturesque landscapes on the famed bullet train, cruise on Lake Kawaguchi, and witness the awe-inspiring view of Mount Fuji. Relax in natural hot springs and savor a delightful Fuji dinner banquet while dressing in traditional robes. And of course, we'll dive into Tokyo's cutting-edge technology scene. In Korea, dress in elegant hanbok attire and step back in time at Cheongdokgung Palace. Wander through Andong Village, a true glimpse into Korea's rich heritage. Delight your taste buds with the flavors of Korean barbecue. We'll even visit the DMZ area to get a glimpse of mysterious North Korea. And guess what? This incredible journey is all yours for just $54.99, all-inclusive, with direct flights from Vancouver, or $58.99 from Toronto. Book now to unlock up to an extra $1,700 in upgrades and savings. Let's make some memories. Let's explore. Let's travel. Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.